Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
And now Chapter 5. Lord Kapila takes charge of his mother, Devahuti. Text 5. Maitreya uvacha pitari prastiteranyam tuyakya hinduesid Bhagavan Kapila kila. Translation. Maitreya said, when Kardama left for the forest, Lord Kapila stayed on the strand of the Bindu Sarovara to please his mother, Devahuti. Purport. In the absence of the father, it is the duty of the grown son to take charge of his mother and serve her to the best of his ability, so that she will not feel separation from her husband. It is also the duty of the husband to leave home as soon as there is a grown son to take charge of his wife and family affairs. That is the Vedic system of household life. One should not remain continually implicated in household affairs up to the time of death. He must leave. Family affairs and the wife may be taken charge of by a grown son. Being a great yogi, Kardama Muni was not very interested in family life. Nonetheless, he decided to marry, and Swayambhuva Manu brought his daughter Devahuti to him to serve as a wife. Kardama Muni was a yogi living in a cottage, and Devahuti was a princess, a king's daughter. Not being used to work, she became very skinny, and Kardama Muni took compassion upon her, thinking, this girl has come to me, but now she is not in a very comfortable position. Therefore, by his yogic powers, Kardama Muni created a large palace with many servants, gardens, and other opulences. Not only that, but 7. And although these Muni, by his yogic powers, was able to create a spaceship wherein there were lakes, palaces, and gardens. This spaceship could also travel all over the universe. Modern scientists labor very hard to make a small spaceship to go to the moon, but Kardama Muni could create a great spaceship that could travel to all planets. This is possible by yogic powers. There are different siddhis or yogic perfections, anima, lagima, prapti, and so on. And whatever yogis choose to do, they can do. That is the real yoga system. It is not that one becomes a yogi simply by pressing his nose and performing some gymnastics. One must actually attain the yogic siddhis. By these siddhis, the yogi can become very small or very large, very heavy or very light. Whatever he wants, he can immediately produce in his hand, and he can travel wherever he desires. Kardama Muni was such a perfected siddhi yogi. By his wife Devahuti, he had 9 daughters, who were distributed to the Prajapatis like Daksha Maharaj and many others. The only son of Kardama Muni was Kapiladev, an incarnation of Krishna. This Kapiladev was one of the Mahajans. The word Mahajan means authority, and according to the Vedic Shastras, there are 12 authorities. These are Swayambhu, Narad, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapila, Manu, Prahlad, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali, Shukdev Goswami, and Yamaraj. Swayambhu is Brahma, and Shambhu is Lord Shiva. These authorities should be followed if we want to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead and understand the purpose of religious life. Mahajano Yena Gata Sa Panta. These Mahajans follow the principles set forth by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita. We cannot very easily understand the actual truth of religious systems, but if we follow these Mahajans, we can understand. Kapila Muni explained the glories of devotional service to his mother, Devahuti. If we follow him, we may learn the truth of devotional service. According to the system of Varnashram Dharma, one who is over 50 years of age must leave home, go to the forest, and completely devote his life to spiritual realization. This is the actual Varnashram Dharma system. It is not a Hindu system, for the word Hindu is a name given by the Muslims and does not occur in any Vedic literature. However, the Varnashram Dharma is mentioned. Civilized human beings should strictly follow the Varnashram institution. If one is born a Brahmin, he is trained nicely as a brahmachari, and then he becomes a grahastha, a householder. When he gives up his home, he is called a vanaprastha, and after that he may take sannyas. Being a yogi, Kardama Muni strictly followed these principles. Therefore, as soon as Kapila Dev was grown, Devahuti was placed in his charge. Kardama Muni then left home. As stated in this verse, Pitari prastite ranyam matu priya chikirshaya. According to the Manu Samhita, a woman should never be given freedom. When she is not under the protection of her husband, she must be under the protection of her sons. Women cannot properly utilize freedom, and it is better for them to remain dependent. A woman cannot be happy if she is independent. That is a fact. In Western countries, we have seen many women very unhappy simply for the sake of independence. That independence is not recommended by the Vedic civilization or by the Varnashram Dharma. Consequently, Devahuti was given to her grown son Kapila Dev, and Kapila Dev was fully aware that he had to take care of his mother. It is the duty of the father to protect his daughter until she attains puberty and is married to a suitable young man. The husband then takes care of the wife. Generally, a man should marry at around 25 years of age, and a girl should marry no later than 16. If this is the case, when the man is 50 years old, his eldest son should be around 25, old enough to take charge of the mother. According to this calculation, Kapila Dev was about 25 years old and was quite able to take charge of his mother Devahuti. He knew that because his father left his mother in his charge, he should take care of her and always please her. Matu priya chikirshaya. Kapila Dev was not irresponsible, but was always ready to please his mother. Kapila Dev was a brahmachari, and his mother took lessons from him. That is the prerogative of the male. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 32, Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepi syu papa yonaya striyo vaishyas tata shudras tepi yanti param gatim, which means, quote, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas or merchants, as well as Shudras or workers, can approach the supreme destination, unquote. Women are considered on the same platform with Shudras, and although a woman may be married to a Brahmin, she is not given the sacred thread. It is also said that the Mahabharata was compiled by Vyasadeva because the direct Vedic knowledge could not be understood by women, Shudras, and Dvija Bandhus, those who are born in Brahmin families but are not qualified Brahmins. Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam Trayi Na Shruti Gochara, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, verse 25. Consequently, Mahabharat is called the fifth Veda. The four preceding Vedas are the Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. The essence of Vedic knowledge, Bhagavad Gita, is given within the Mahabharata. Women are inferior to men, and Vedic civilization is so perfect that men are given full charge of the women. It is therefore said, Matu Priya Chikirshaya. The son is always ready to see that the mother is not unhappy. Kapila Dev was anxious that his mother not feel the absence of his father, and he was ready to take the best care of her and give her knowledge. Because women are supposed to be less intelligent, they should be given knowledge, and they should also follow this knowledge. They should follow their father's instructions, their husband's instructions, and the instructions of their grown, scholarly sons like Kapila Dev. In this way their lives can be perfect. In all cases, women should always remain dependent. Tasmin Bindu Sare Vatsid Bhagavan Kapila Kila. It is noteworthy that in this verse Kapila Dev is referred to as Bhagavan, which indicates that he possesses all wealth, fame, knowledge, beauty, strength, and renunciation. These six opulences are fully represented in Krishna. Therefore Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam, and others are accepted as his expansions or incarnations, Vishnu Tattva. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami has analyzed the characteristics of Bhagavan. The first Bhagavan is Sri Krishna himself, but some of his opulences are also bestowed upon Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is a Jiva Tattva, a living being like us. If we become spiritually powerful, we can also have the post of Lord Brahma. Superior to Lord Brahma is Lord Shiva, and superior to Lord Shiva is Vishnu, or Lord Narayan, and superior to all is Krishna. That is the analysis of the Vedic Shastras and Brahma Samhita. Even Shankaracharya, the Mayavadi impersonalist philosopher, accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sabhagavan Svayam Krishna. All the Acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Kapila Dev is an incarnation of Krishna, and he gave instructions to his mother Devahuti. We must distinguish between the two Kapilas. One Kapila is this Bhagavan Kapila, and the other Kapila is the atheist Kapila. Bhagavan Kapila is also known as Devahuti Putra Kapila. Both Kapilas expounded Sankhya philosophy, but the atheist Kapila expounded it without understanding, perception, or realization of God. On the bank of the Bindu Sarovara lake, Kapila Dev personally expounded Sankhya philosophy to his mother Devahuti, just as Krishna personally expounded the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to his friend Arjuna. Like Arjuna, Devahuti was aware that she was before her spiritual master, as indicated in the following verse. Indeed, Lord Brahma had informed her that her son was a powerful incarnation. Text 6. Tamasinam akarmanam tatvarmargagradarshanam svasutam devahutyaha datu samsmarati vacha. Translation. When Kapila, who could show her the ultimate goal of the absolute truth, was sitting leisurely before her, Devahuti remembered the words Brahma had spoken to her, and she therefore began to question Kapila as follows. Purport. The ultimate goal of the Absolute Truth is Krishna consciousness, devotional service. The liberated stage is not final. If we simply understand that we are not the body, that we are spirit-soul, our knowledge is insufficient. We must also act as Brahman. Then our position will be fixed. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labhate Param, which means, quote, one who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state he attains pure devotional service unto me. Unquote. From the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 54. Bhakti is obtainable for a liberated person. It is not for the conditioned soul. How is this possible? In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 26, Krishna says, Mam chayo vyapicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate, which means, quote, one who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Unquote. We must engage in the 9 processes of devotional service, the first of which is hearing or Shravan. Then, under the direction of the spiritual master and the Shastras, one can immediately become a liberated person. One doesn't have to endeavor separately to become liberated if he immediately engages in devotional service. One must have a firm conviction that he is engaged in Krishna's service and is free from all material contamination. This is imperative. The words Tattva Marga Darshanam are elucidated elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. The Absolute Truth is understood differently according to the position of the student. Some understand the Absolute Truth as impersonal Brahman, some as localized Paramatma, and others as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna or Vishnu. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are not different. They are simply different aspects of the complete Godhead. Looking at a mountain from a distance, we may see a hazy cloud, and if we come nearer, we may see something green. If we actually climb the mountain, we will find many houses, trees, and animals. Our vision is of the same mountain, but due to our different positions, we see haze, greenery, or variegatedness. In the final stage, there are varieties, trees, animals, men, houses, and so on. The Absolute Truth is not without variety. Just as there is material variety, there is spiritual variety. Because the Mayavadi philosophers are seeing the Absolute Truth from a distance, they think that the Absolute Truth has no variety. They consider variety to be material, but this is a misunderstanding. The Absolute Truth is described as variegated in Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 29. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhirabhipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra shata sambrama sevyamanam Govindamari purusham tam aham bhajami. which means, quote, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending the cows, fulfilling all desires, in abodes built with spiritual gems and surrounded by millions of desire trees. He is always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Unquote. There are Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world, and there are devotees who are all liberated. These devotees are Akshara, which means they do not fall down into the material world. They remain in the spiritual world of the Vaikunthas. They are also persons like us, but they are eternal persons, complete with full knowledge and bliss. That is the difference between them and us. That is Tattva Gyan. Unless we understand the variegatedness of the Absolute Truth, there is a chance that we will fall down. It is not sufficient simply to stick to the indefinite impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth. Aruya Krishrena Param Padam Tata Patantyado Nadrata Yushmad Angrihya. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, Verse 32. Because the impersonalists are not allowed to enter the Vaikuntha planets, they simply remain in the Brahman effulgence. Thus they fall down again into material variety. We have seen many impersonalist sannyasis who first of all give up the world as false. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mitya. They consider themselves Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, consider the world as false, Jagat is Mitya, and having nothing more to do with the material world, finally say, I have become Narayan. Then they come to the stage of Daridra Narayan, or Poor Narayan. They become Narayan, but for want of anything better to do, for want of variegatedness, they take up material humanitarian activities. Although they consider their wives Mitya, or false, they return. You have already left. Why do you come back again? The wives ask. This means that these so-called sannyasis have nothing to do. They undergo serious penances and austerities to reach the platform of impersonal Brahman, but because there is no pleasure there, they again descend to enjoy material variety. We may build a nice spaceship and send it off into space, and the astronauts may go up there and fly in the impersonal sky, but eventually they will become tired and pray to God, please let us return to land. We have read that the Russian astronauts were simply missing Moscow while they were traveling in space. This impersonal traveling is actually very agitating. Similarly, impersonal realization of the Absolute Truth cannot be permanent because one wants variety. A fall down is inevitable. When one gentleman read my book, Easy Journey to Other Planets, he became very enthusiastic about going to other planets. Oh yes, I said, we can go with this book. Yes, the gentleman said, then I shall come back. Why return? You should remain there. No, no, he said, I don't want to remain. I just want to go and come back. This is the enjoying mentality. Without variety, we cannot enjoy. Variety is the mother of enjoyment, and Brahman realization or Paramatma realization does not give us steady ananda, bliss. We want ananda. Anandamayo Vyasat. The living entities are Brahman. Krishna is Parabrahman. Krishna is enjoying perpetual ananda, and being part and parcel of Krishna, we also want ananda. Ananda cannot be impersonal or void. Ananda entails variety. No one is simply interested in drinking milk and eating sugar, but with milk and sugar We can make a variety of foods: peda, burfi, shira, rabari, dahi, and so on. There are hundreds of preparations. In any case, variety is required for enjoyment. The last word of Tattva Gyan is to understand Krishna, who is full of variety. Kapila Dev is Tattva Margagra Darshanam. He is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he will explain to his mother what Tattva is, how one can approach the Tattva Gyan, and how one can actually enjoy Tattva Gyan. This is not simply dry speculation. This Krishna consciousness philosophy includes spiritual variety. People sometimes misunderstand this variety to be material, and they hanker for nirvishesha, nirakara, void. However, our philosophy is not void. It is full of variety and transcendental bliss. This will later be specifically enunciated by Lord Kapila Dev.